أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين إنه خير ناصر ومعين صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد. First of all, I come first amongst the different talks because actually here I really wanted to come as a student of students, and that's what I am. I have never seen, I would say, in the Western world, you can correct me, having so many scholars from different places, and the audience is absolutely global in the English language. So it's an absolute honor to be here, and on behalf of the World Federation, it's actually an amazing milestone as well. Now, if you've seen the agenda, you'll see that there are heavyweight topics. There's such topics which I'm sure that we will be learning, getting lost, and asking questions on. So my topic is maybe the most lightweight, a bit light-hearted, and one of those which hopefully at least puts basics in place, okay? You know I'm from Scandinavia, so we play with Lego, and they'll be the first Lego pieces, inshallah. Can I have a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad? Now, the topic, my wife made a bit of fun of me. The human, the machine, and the end of times. She told me, you have watched too many detectives and uncles and maybe certain series, but I said, yeah, but it's actually not something which I got from ChatGPT. It's just something which I felt is the correct. You see, many a times we jump to artificial intelligence and we think that artificial intelligence is something completely new. First of all, I want to put that aside. As a practitioner, it is not new. But what has happened is that certain things have come together in the last 18 months, which has completely transformed. But I thought we start off with certain basics first. If I ask kindly that the first slide be put up, please. What I wanted to say is that one goes to workspace, conferences, discussions, school, and people use the word AI. I thought, let us just be on one page, what do we mean? And then we go on a journey together. Is everyone okay to go on a journey? Brilliant, ahsantum. For those watching online, I heard you too, everyone said yes. Now, artificial intelligence, it's basically a definition which is defined differently depending on which search engine you look for. But in essence, it's techniques which enable cognitive functions. What is cognitive functions? It means the way the human learns. I didn't say how the machine learns. The human learns how it thinks and then categorizes that knowledge so that it comes. For those who are from the Hausa, then nutq becomes very interesting, how it comes forward as such on the tongue or on the tip of our fingertips. But underneath there, people don't know often what is machine learning versus artificial intelligence. This is very, very important. Once upon a time, when I was about second year or third year at university and doing these modules, people who do engineering, they know that you study numerical analysis. And then you apply mathematics and you go to advanced numerical analysis. And then if you're really lucky, I was really lucky that one module, you had to do facial recognition. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created faces which are unique. He has created in His absolute wisdom a way that we can recognize each other, but with the multiplicity, it becomes difficult. So how do you deal with that? Well, there are models, but even the machines and the models to recognize face have become very useful of late, especially when it comes to spy and intelligence gathering and so forth. But in essence, you have got millions, no, sometimes billions of calculations to come to recognition of a face. But that's based on a data, and then you come and you combine with another database, and then you are able to then say, this is a unique face. Why have I started off from there? Because from that technique of facial recognition, so many other machine learning techniques have come about. Other things like, when we're at work and you want to see, okay, there was an email which came in and there's spam, how does the computer know that? That's machine learning. Through a pattern that this is how a fraudster works. Be alert, okay? So it's gone in. But then, where is machine learning and where is deep learning, which comes underneath? Deep learning, its synonym, is basically neural network. That means that how can I tap into the brain? We try to copy and paste what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done on nodes, multiple nodes, no, and then the time of it connecting information and then coming to a conclusion, that's what we are trying to copy. So that's neural network and what some people like to say, deep learning. Where does then ChatGPT come in? If you're able to use these techniques which the human being uses and you do it successfully, and you combine then multiple layers of them, and to an extent, this is where the interesting comes, that you come with an answer which maybe no human has spoken or written, but it could be. It could be, or it is. Then the question comes, yes, we have produced a new product, but is it actually what many of the scholars say, is it trustworthy? Today, everyone can gather data, but can we trust it? So that's not going to be the next frontier. So I just want to see, have I made anyone fall asleep? No, alhamdulillah. I feel very, very honored because now we're going to go on the next journey. And all these slides, where it comes to the definition, it's actually a humble point. On this point, I just want to show that when I said it's not something new, we've got lights here based on electric grid. I'm looking at my teacher, Sheikh Shuja, secret, once upon a time, he used to program traffic lights. I remember that, Sheikhana. It's not straightforward. You get that wrong, you'll have tasaduf, barhurd, and you'll have accidents. When it comes to electricity grids, you need to balance because electricity, can it be stored? Only sometimes you've got Tesla or a battery, but you can't, yeah? So you have to balance at that time where a human being cannot balance. So you got so many computers. I used to work and I had a team where we used to run several hundred models, and we have people working on a different part of the world so we can balance it 24/7. And we have 26, 27, 28 countries in Europe which has to send electricity between each other. The closest I can say in Canada is the beautiful electricity system in Alberta. Got very intricate ways, but this is where the human can't do. And do you know that you actually trade, not in every second, not every tenth of a second, but actually on a millisecond basis, you have to predict the next part. Predict. Machine learning. This is what we take for granted. And actually, on multiple commodities, my teams and my work, we used to do this in 2015, 16. And people now think AI has just come now. Yes, there may be democratization of it, maybe. I like to look at the human being and its history. Would you agree with me that this is typically what we see when we flick through on certain YouTube clips, when we go in the books, and we say, once upon a time was the half-naked person who had, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave tools, different tools. No, I'm not trying to be thrown out of this place. And I'm not going into Darwin or Darwinism. I'm speaking about that if we look at just prehistory from 3000 before Christ, okay, and we go forward, then sort of this is the image which people look at. And I'm just thinking that a bit overweight guy there, number 3, that looks a bit like me. But I wear a gray suit today. But I hope that that person who is walking around here in Toronto is a bit humble. And I wonder if that person, what many people here think, is going to become a machine, a robot. Those who love Star Trek would think that that would be very cool. But some people, like me, would be very scared, okay? Now, walk with me. Now, I enjoy this, okay? This is a bit how nerdy I am, okay? So I thought, let us do a map of history. When we start off prehistory, before 3000-ish, we're talking about certain revolutions which happen. Tools, fire, the wheel. I sometimes joke. Somebody asked, okay, when did you start working after uni? I said, sometime between the Stone Age and the Bronze Age. And that works very well, especially for post-millennial. They'll think like, oh yeah, this is a really old guy. But walk with me. Everyone has seen that this graph is it linear or exponential? Ahsantum, exponential, you're with me. Why? Because something happens. There is a bit of debate when the human being started writing. Writing inside the caves, writing on paper, but writing. Imagine the person who was not able to write and you compare the person who wrote. Do you know how the difference, the Quran ayah about, do you think we measure the people who know and don't know the same? But that's what's happened in every part of human history. When that person was, instead of throwing a spear or an arrow, I can actually kill multiple people at the same time by the invention of the gunpowder. The human being's takabbur, kibr, increases, thinks she is more powerful. Then you have a printing press. Interesting, Islam has got a very interesting relationship as far as printing presses are concerned. Europe has a different history compared to Asian. For example, Korea, there was already printing press earlier, not jumping all the way to Gutenberg and 1400s, 1500s. You had it earlier. Very interesting. Mind you, there was somebody who brought a printing press to the Ottoman Empire, and someone said, no, we don't want it. Someone said that maybe that was why the Islamic civilization maybe lagged a bit behind. Something for debate later in the Q&A. The steam engine is what many people say, oh, now we're going industrial revolution. Imagine that we were competing with each other on who can run fastest. No, who's got the fastest horse or camel. But now we can move from one village to another in minutes. Oh, I can now speak to someone instantaneously or close to it by sending a message. Again, imagine the person. Sheikh Alex says, if a person would have seen ChatGPT, I guarantee you, people who would only be 50 years before the telegraph, they wonder, we don't believe in that. Plastics and the fossil fuel. Yes, I'm an energy professional, but today I'm not going to go in there, even though that is the most interesting things, especially what's going on in the world right now. The airplane connected the world like none other. But I would like to say something, if we connect what Maulana Sayyid Muhammad Rizvi said, as well as what the President, Brother Rizwan Khalfan, said, that you have a duality where some people can afford and cannot. And still today, depending on how far you travel and how you travel, which class you sit in, there is a class difference. And yes, maybe that the human being becomes more arrogant when they can, when other people can't. You have then maybe the greatest invention, the transistor, the thing which creates the digitalization for real. And now you see, we're coming now to the last 50 to 70 years. And you can see the steep. They're becoming much steeper. Here, we're entering the nuclear world. And I just wanted to, I can't help, yeah? This is something. I'm gonna go, do you allow me to go off track a bit? Just now, all right? You know, it's an absolutely interesting phenomena that many a times that when these technologies come about, we think this is like the first thing we've ever seen. This is like super amazing, never seen it. Those who would like to maybe use the mobile phone, if you want to go to your Quran app, go to, for example, Suratul Kahf. Go to ayat 17. Allowed to, you can look. There Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something beautiful about these youth when they are in the cave. I don't know if you come across this. You know, تَزَاوَرُوا عَنْ كَهْفِهِمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ وَإِذَا Thank you. Both the right and the left. What is happening? That the light was bent around the cave, inclined. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to bend the light. Of course He can. But think about the imagination about bending. We've not entered the quantum physics world 1400 years ago. Just wanted to go a bit like that, that actually within the Islam, within the miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are ways of thinking which is absolutely. And just as a side note, next ayat, just for extra bonus material, He says, I turn the youth to their sides on each side. It's a health physiological point of view. Think from a cell mitochondria point of view, that how the energy, if you are staying static in the cave for many years. Anyway, that's a side point. I couldn't help myself. When the space travel comes, it's something which says that now we've entered the modern world. I want to ask you, has anyone read or come across what actually happened when Yuri Gagarin left the stratosphere? And when he came back, what his first words were? Does anyone know? I can see some hands up there. But he actually said that when I went and God opened a window for me, I was feeling intoxicated, dazzled. And I felt, what has happened? Then if you're interested, go to Suratul Hijr, ayat number 14. It's a bonus material as well. And what Allah chooses when He opens the sky. Beautiful words. Remember, Yuri Gagarin said, my eyes were dazzled or intoxicated. Look at the ayah, inshallah. Then, of course, the internet came. We are in internet. There was a before and after. Then we have, one person said that Dajjal had come many times. When the TV came, Dajjal is in the home. Internet comes, Dajjal comes again. Mobile phone. But on every juncture, there's been a question, how will the world look like before and after? But now, here comes the point. The power of technology and computer power. Can I match the computer to a living object, a living creature? So it's not that far time ago, less than 10 years ago, that we equaled the brain power of a mouse. I'm not joking. And do you know that it's approximately that we equaled one human being's brain power approximately 12 to 18 months ago? Yeah. What's next? Next is singularity. Now this is the one which scares many people. And I want to touch on that. What is artificial intelligence singularity? A definition, which is basically, can I combine all the human beings' power? No. Can I combine and that can think synchronized together? No. Can I surpass that and say that compared to everyone on earth at the same time, at the same millisecond or less, I can think more than all the humans together? Now that's scary. And what happens then? Now, those who like to read, and this inventor, the American inventor, the writer, Kurzweil, there are some interesting quotes. You know, here, for those who are interested, I can recommend some books. Some of them already written in the 1990s, further 1999, further, there are a few more. But one of the things which came, computers will have emotional intelligence and be convincing as people, before 2030. Prediction. He's got another prediction. By 2040, we'll be able to multiply human intelligence a billionfold. So really, we're reaching singularity by that time. No, we are increasing beyond singularity by that time. But here I would like to go off on something, and I'll go 4.5 minutes, and now we're going to have fun. We've seen how technology has multiplied, gone exponential. How has then the belief of God gone? Now, if we look at some of the research and data which are out there, very, very interesting. You probably, like me, would have expected that atheism would have jump up. The red-colored line would have been steep going upwards. It's not. But you do see some other things going on. And I'm going to go a bit under the data. You can see that the green incline here going up, that's, you know, during the Cold War towards the end and the Berlin Wall falling, and then you got the fall of Soviet Union, and people then saying that, no, I am actually identifying, believing in God, and I can say it openly. So that's why you see that. But, interesting enough, can you see that the yellow incline, which is basically yellow reduction, and we're talking about comparing those who are non-religious, that means God is not present. Not saying I'm atheist, but not present at all. That falls. Interesting. But there are differences in time. And this is where we dig into the data. And we actually look at the top chart. When it comes to the Western reformed world, which is Northern Western Europe, and I would say also North America, including Canada, that here you see atheism going up. But that's not the case in the East. That's why the philosophy of the East is very important to study. Very interesting. How the dynamics go. Social engineering within certain parts, very interesting. Otherwise, we would have said, no, as technology goes up, everyone's arrogance and belief in God will decrease. Not everyone. That's something which I wanted to touch on a bit. And at last, I would like to combine with this part. How do we go into the end of times? Beautiful saying of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. You may have come across this and some others which are close. I chose this one because, yes, there's got numbers in it. That knowledge, letters is used, but knowledge can be, bucketed into 27 parts. And the Anbiya, up to this point, have given only 2 out of 27. So that is how much? A bit more than, less than 13th. But when the 12th, Al-Qaim, will come, he will bring the additional 25. And I think when we call upon the 12th Imam Ajallahu Ta'ala for we have to have Salawat ala Muhammad a multiplier of 2 double, no. Quadruple, no. 13 times more. How is that possible? I leave you with another narration that can you slow down the time? There are some narrations that the time will be slower when he is there. But he at the same time have got expansion of knowledge. Now if you speak about this before the time of the quantum age, we would not believe it. It's very much belief. You remember the ayah I said about bending of light? I think these are very important things to think about. I'm going to do something impromptu. Can I ask, how many of you were mesmerized this Shahr Ramadan by this beautiful show called Mahfil Quran? 7. Ladies are our sisters, they're way ahead when it comes to Quran. I see minimum 12 hands up here, 7 here. There is one hadith which says that towards the end of time, young women, young female, will be able to deduct rulings, jurisprudential, from the Quran. How would that be? Well, because the love of Quran is also there, so we can embrace. And you see, just at this juncture, I'm not going to go further, but this is where I'm going to stop, where I actually haven't shared anything with you. I've just shared with you some question marks, inshallah. Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.